When the sky is gray as it is today and winter has stripped the world of her green, I feel like a foreigner more than ever. In the summer, when I can plunge my hands into the earth of the garden and breathe in the thick, hot air that teems with life, I can feel you close. Then you cling to me like the sweat on my skin. Then the screaming cicadas and the call of tree frogs could be the distant echo of a throne room. Then the trees and the grass and the moss on the chicken coop all grow vivid green. So much so that even a green tent hangs in the air, and I think maybe I can understand how a rainbow could be called emerald. But it is not summer. It is not green. I cannot feel the warmth of your breath or the weight of your right arm embracing me. I cannot hear the echo of your throne room. I cannot see you in heavy fruit-laden vines. I cannot feel your eyes burning in the kiss of the sun. All I see is barrenness. All I feel is cold. I miss the green so badly it hurts, and right now I am sustained by the fact that truth does not wither as the summer garden does wither. Your kiss is far more consistent than the sun. Your touch far surpasses my capacity to perceive it. Your goodness is everlasting, never fading. You are good, God of everything. You are sovereign, imaginer of the seasons. You sustain. On gray days and green, you sustain me. It is my least favorite time of year. This is the gray drudgery of midwinter, and for a garden, that means there's not much going on, and for a gardener, that means it's time to rest. As of right now, I have been without a garden for 7 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days. That is the longest time since I planted my first real garden that I have gone without a garden. And I am finding that to be a little bit of a difficult challenge. We had planned on moving now. We had planned on moving in the dead midwinter when there wasn't a big harvest to leave, when there wasn't a lot of content to leave. I mean, we make content, that's my job. And so leaving in the middle of the growing season was never our plan. But our kids appealed to us. And Jackson specifically asked me if we could go in summer so he could start school. It was kind of one of those moments where being a parent, I mean, you give your kid what they need. And so we upped our timeline. If we had been on our original plan, we would be just moving here, like 2 weeks ago. But instead, we've been here for 7 months, 2 weeks and 3 days. And I left my beautiful and lovely garden and I came here and we started to build this farm. And it's been amazing. This farm is so much more than I even thought to imagine, that I even thought to ask for. And I know that when we get to the point that we have gardens again and we are harvesting lots of food again, it's going to be mind-blowing. But it has come at this cost of a break, I guess, kind of a respite. I even tried to do a little garden out front of my house. I was like, I can't go this long without a garden. So we put little raised beds in and vertical garden towers, and I planted a bunch of stuff, and the turkeys destroyed it. And it failed miserably. I got bad soil and all this grand cacophony of things going wrong. It's really done that thing that happens whenever you've allowed something to define you that has no business defining you. And all of a sudden, it gets stripped away. It was kind of one of those moments where I just threw my hands up and said, okay, I just won't have a garden for a little while. I will let this go.
Well, we've made roots and refuge history. We finally have a barn, which has been an ongoing thing. Like on our previous property, we had actually ordered a barn and ran into a lot of delays in getting it set up, and eventually just ended up canceling it because we ended up moving a lot sooner than we thought. And so like we've never actually had like an actual barn, and so this is something that we've really wanted and hadn't achieved yet. And so the fact that it's now built and on our property is a pretty big milestone for us, and we're pretty excited about it. The inside is 36 by 60, and then we have this 12-foot lean-to, so overall space it's 48 by 60. This corridor right here, we set up this way, kind of like a horse barn style, with the doors leading into the stalls on the inside. So we could do a certain amount of stalls that have outside access as well as some space inside. You know, sometimes, you know, if an animal gets sick and they have to stay in a controlled environment long term, it's better to have some outside space where they can get into the sun and have just enough space to stay there. We're actually gonna make this the future milking station. And then through this door, we're gonna pour a pad and frame up a room. And this will be like the milking room. We'll have a tankless water heater, a deep sink. We'll keep all of our jars and stainless steel milking supplies. And so when we bring the cows in, we'll milk. We'll be able to take it directly in here, strain it, prep it, get it into jars, and then get it into the freezer and the fridge to get it, you know, nice and cool and stored. One of the oldest dreams as far as pertaining to a farm that Jessica's ever had was for a big red barn. When this started getting constructed, it was just like, it was really emotional for her, because it was a fulfillment to something that she's imagined since she was a little girl. I took into consideration like this was a big deal to her and added in some stuff that wasn't necessarily functional, but aesthetically just made it really complete, like this beautiful picture. Like, you know, the windows up in the gables, for example, like those don't actually serve a purpose for like ventilation, but it looks nice. It was just cool to see that come to reality for her. We've gotten through the holidays, which is always a hectic time, especially when you have a farm, because the cow still has to be milked on Christmas morning, and animals, you know, still have to be taken care of, and the farm doesn't ever like go on vacation. But coming out of the holidays for us is always a pretty busy time, because it's like you hit the ground running in January to start prepping for spring, especially on this property because, you know, we just got our barn up. We've got milk cows now. But really all of our focus is going to start going towards garden infrastructure. We've got 2 high tunnel greenhouses that need to be built so they can get planted for spring. Even more importantly than that, we've got a window greenhouse that needs to get put up probably by the end of February at the latest, because that's where Jessica's going to start all of her seeds. So if that gets delayed or put off, then that really just throws off our spring endeavors and being able to grow, you know, good gardens and solid food. So as far as like what we're going to be doing infrastructure wise, you know, we'll be working on the barn and working around like animal infrastructure, but really for the next 2 months it's going to be mostly focusing on garden stuff.
I got sick this winter, and I was a really sick kid. I had kind of like a birth defect in my urinary tract, and it led to just a childhood of doctor's visits and medicines and in and out of hospitals. And it was a sickness that was like really private in nature. And I'm learning as an adult that children who go through issues of that nature end up with a lot of medical trauma. And I didn't really realize that. You know, you can go through things when you're a kid and you just survive them. And so then you just adapt. And then especially whenever you're not put back in a similar situation, you might not even know that you have dysfunction in that area of your thought process, that area of your reactions. I started to deal with a lot of pain and a lot of issues that I haven't dealt with in a really long time. And I thought, I'm just stressed. It's stress. Obviously, I'm not getting the physical workout that I did before, because I used to be in my garden all the time. And in moving, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't eating as healthy because we were moving and kind of fell into some conveniences, and I didn't have lots of food in my yard I could go harvest. So I sort of was just like blowing things off of like, okay, we'll get back in line and I'll start feeling better. But then the pain didn't go away, it got worse. And I realized that I was really avoiding getting medical attention, and I had to like deal with that. Sometimes it's like the rug gets pulled back in your heart, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that's a mess. I didn't realize that was there. And you have to start asking yourself questions, and you have to start digging into that. And this fall, as my little garden was failing, and I was kind of having to go, wow, I'm really going to have to just let this go. I'm really not going to have this for myself for this season, and I'm going to have to let that go. This pain in my body is mounting to the point that I kind of got to a place of like some real dysfunction. Like I wasn't sleeping at night. And after a while, that like really wears on a person. And when I finally got to the point, I was talking to Maya, and he said, you're really not yourself. And he's like, why aren't you going and getting this dealt with? Why aren't you going to a doctor? And I kind of had to come to this place of being like, I think I'm scared to death. This whole little season of moving and starting fresh, and all of the excitement and the joy and the dreams and all of that stuff, it's brought us to this point of like, hey, you can't move forward into all of that before you pull the rug back and you look at this mess and you look at this brokenness. The hardest part about right now and about being sick again is wondering why. Because I know healing's real. And in all the pain that I was in, the big question that comes up that's the hardest thing to face is wondering, if you can heal me, why aren't you? So really, the grand theme, the overreaching theme of this gray winter has been that choice that we all have to come back to. Even when your garden dies or your body is sick, of like, is God good? And that's been the choice this winter for me. Surrounded by goodness, surrounded by fulfillment. And I've had all of these moments of like things like little dreams coming true. Like I've literally wanted a cow since I was just a little child. I mean, like these massive dreams coming true. Watching this big red barn go up. I can't express to you how much of a dream that is, to have a big red barn out my window. And when the big red barn is out your window, but you have this stabbing pain in your body, and you're like, well, hold on a second. There's this struggle of making that choice. I believe you can, and I believe you will. Even if you haven't yet. I believe you can, and I believe you will, because it doesn't do you any good to believe that he can if you don't think that he will. So I started to seek medical attention. The day before Thanksgiving, my doctor found a mass on one of my ovaries. It was really scary. Over the course of the holidays, it went away. So they're thinking that it was some sort of cyst or something like that. And I can't tell you like a moment that happened. I don't know what happened. But I do know at some point in that process between, no, I'm not dealing with this, okay, fine, I'll deal with it, wow, this could be really bad, and I don't understand, this mass is completely gone. Somewhere in between there was definitely a moment of surrender for me. I can't tell you right now that it's entirely resolved. I've got a calendar full of appointments for invasive procedures that I'm gonna have done and that I'm gonna face. And I'm gonna do my best to just remain hopeful that we'll find some answers or some solutions and explore all my options to stay healthy. I'm gonna just pull the rug back and deal with whatever this broken place in myself is, so that when the time comes to move forward, I'll be ready for it. To those of you who might have come into that line of thinking that it's okay to leave the rug over a thing, it's okay to leave the curtain closed, whether it is an area of trauma or an area of fear, you can face it, and you're worth facing it. Like, having wholeness is worth facing those things. Obviously, I'm not a flourishing example of doing this perfectly. And when I think of the blubbering mess that I've been and the I hate this, how many times I've thought that, and I've dug my heels in, I have been stubborn, frustrating, I've been mean. But I can say I feel I have walked through this gracefully because it has been very covered in grace, and I want to encourage people to pull the rug off those hurting places and take care of yourself. You only get one chance, one body and one little life, and I encourage you to live that well by taking care of these things. I'm looking forward to spring. I am looking forward to having a garden again, to my first calving of a cow on my farm, to the goats having babies. I'm looking forward to building our window greenhouse, is seeing those seedlings pop up out of the soil for the first time, because they're gonna do it year after year here on this farm, but that first time, it means that we have that place established and we have that normalcy back and that expectation back. I'm looking forward to sitting in that greenhouse with all the little tomato seedlings surrounding me. That moment holds the promise that the garden full of tomatoes will come, and I'm really looking forward to that moment. As the year progresses, taking steps forward to this dream we have of having a space downtown and having a mercantile and opening a coffee shop and roasting coffee. And we're making steps in that direction, and that's so thrilling. I am having to rein myself in because I find myself putting all this emotional energy and all this thought and all of this creative energy into the things that are way off there that I have absolutely no control over right now. Right now, the thing that I have to do the most is go to the doctor's appointments, take care of my body, take care of my kids, milk the cow every morning, cook dinner, make a video. The things I have to do right now are maddeningly not the things that I'm dreaming about doing, but they're the things that are right in front of me. I'm making a meal plan. It's glamorous. I'm straining milk, and I'm going through seeds. I'm ordering berry bushes. And I believe we'll find the answers of whatever's going on. And I think all the things that we've set ourselves to do, we're gonna see those things happen. I think we'll roast coffee and build a store and teach people to grow food. I think we're gonna build a beautiful farm here. I can already see it coming together. I think we'll start seeds. I think I'll have a lovely garden again. I think I'll harvest food out of my yard. I think I'm gonna get to watch my children grow up in an extraordinary life and become extraordinary people. We have been surprisingly enveloped by community, and we did a lot of work to get here. And then we landed in this like soft place of love and belonging. Right now, our lives are full and rich with relationships that we did not even have a year ago. You know, I fell apart in the parking lot of the doctor's office, and I messaged my friend Melissa, who had dealt with cancer, and I told her, we're getting to the bottom of this. It's crazy how when you decide to like choose to believe in goodness, and you choose wholeness, and you choose community, that the broken pieces, they just can't stay in hiding. I'm walking out of this just surrounded by love and choice and beautiful relationships into all of these wildest dreams like coming true. The hope is not just, oh, your body's gonna be healed, but like your heart will be too. We have just an array of cheerleaders. The people who have been like pieces to a puzzle that have come into place since we've come here. It's mind-boggling to see this big dream we have through. We could have never done what we want to do on our own. We had to get here on our own. We have to face these broken places on our own. But we do not have to move forward on our own.
You ready to go?
Yeah. In coming here to this area, I just didn't anticipate when we moved that 6-7 months down the road, we would be getting so established within other homesteaders that could be helpful in things like that.
A lot of the folks I talk to that are homesteaders in this area, and there are quite a few, a lot of them have a very independent mindset. Just me, myself, I couldn't garden here, do what I want to do with animals, you know, and everything else by myself. It's impossible. And so we really need each other to build a community here, but it's difficult to do that on your own.